everybody. Welcome back. So last week we reviewed Mrs. Doubtfire, and this week we actually have something special for you guys. We are going to be reviewing a movie that came out this year, back in March, if I'm correct. Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves. And we have Jessup, we have Alexa, and we have Anna to join us tonight.
Okay. So quickly, I have played a couple times. I've done some one-shot campaigns and stuff, but I'm not like an expert on D&D, so I don't get all the references. I'm thankful we have Anna because she apparently has played so much D&D. She was able to help us all through the entire movie. So I think we should just give it up for Anna.
Anna's the OG.
Yeah, well, it's my only social activity.
Hey, but it's immersive. You gotta give it that.
Is 2 hours to not 10 hours of D&D weekly for 8 years. Yay.
So basically, the premise of this movie is that there's a band of thieves who accidentally got the wrong thing for the wrong person, and basically they're trying to make things right. I think I've summed it up kind of right.
Yeah, you really get into spoiler territory if you get going further.
It's fun.
Yeah, I mean, granted, this is a few months old, but it's still pretty recent.
Yeah,
it's recent enough that you can create a list of tropes.
Yeah. Loved Chris Pine as the main. Michelle Rodriguez is great. Justice Smith and the girl from it. I'm blanking her
Sophia
name.
Lillis.
Okay.
Hugh Grant was pretty good too.
But yeah, Hugh Grant was a great villain for this.
Yeah.
So you have this great cast of actors going on this D&D adventure. What more can you ask for?
Now, I will admit, I went to this movie not knowing really anything about Dungeons and Dragons, but at the end of this movie, I found myself found myself having a really good time with this movie.
Yeah. So did I. Anna, is there anything you wish to share since you're the D&D actor?
Yeah, no, they generally stick with the source books of 5th edition, 3rd, 3.5, generally pretty well. They've fudged some things, but I think they fudged for the sake of a movie, not for the sake of it'll make this person more powerful, but if I want to have D&D shown in the best light to people who haven't seen it before, it would be cool if this character could do this instead of just that. So they fudged like wild shapes, for instance, with the druid turning into 7 different creatures in the span of 30 seconds instead of 2 for every hour-long nap she takes. So, so they fudged some mechanics of how normally people play the game, but not into such an unbelievable thing that it felt like they're breaking the universe.
It was kind of like a little bit of Michael-based tactic of making more explosions in a Supreme edition. Yeah. Honestly, and I've seen a lot of his movies like that's a trope. I'm pretty sure that's not a MacGyver one though.
Yeah.
And you said the dragon is something from the game. Was not made up for the movie.
No, the dragon, the fat dragon, the chubby dragon, is old history in Faerun, lured down by a partnership with some drow, who immediately went nope, and shunted him off to some Dwera, who also went, we'll accept this partnership, and then they fattened him up so much that he got stuck. So official lore from the game is that dragon is fat and stuck in the Underdark.
Which he still is.
In a little hole.
Yeah, he's still kind of stuck in that Underdark.
Yeah.
I don't think they killed him.
Yeah.
He just got himself restuck.
Yeah.
So during dungeon renovations, you can just call him just to move it a little bit to the left.
Yeah.
And the other thing, I was actually thinking that this would not be possible in the game, but the Sophia Lewis' character turning into a snake when they in the gelatinous cube, I did not think that would be possible, but according to you, it is.
I would say it's possible based on how slowly gelatinous cubes move.
Yeah,
they have a speed of 5 feet around. They're just basically snails. So they expand to cover, they like engulf the thing inside them, but if you rapidly shrunk faster than the thing can react, you would have couple seconds, like say 3 or 4, to get out before it shrunk back around you, but that would be enough time with how slowly these things move that it would actually work. At least that would be the ruling. So
okay.
So this is a very good descriptor of the thing. That they're not fast. It's like stabbing Jello. So
Jello snail.
Except it's sentient. Sentient Jello.
Sentient Jello.
It's a very good descriptor, but yes,
That is also
Jello.
acidic. That is also acidic, because isn't it?
Yeah, it's sentient acidic Jello. Yes, made out of acid.
That's a tongue twister.
Oh, hell no.
And then one thing I want to praise is also the practical effects, especially on like some of the creatures.
Yeah. These are like have like moving masks, which are really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there are CGI effects where they couldn't exactly get the mechanics of how a race would work. Or walk or something like that, just overlapping with the practical effects, where it was very clear immediately what somebody was.
Yeah.
You weren't sitting there scratching your head going, what are they? So.
And is that the case with the older D&D movies, is that you don't know what they are?
No, you know what they are, but in no universe would a giant and a dragon work together. Or in no universe would someone attack a metallic dragon in favor of working with a chromatic. Because the chromatics are evil and the metallics are good. So the older D&D movies are just one giant they're just completely out there left field of what would actually be truly happening in Faerun. They took the bits they liked and they ignored everything else.
Got it.
So,
Anna had mentioned these other D&D movies from the 90s that apparently are really bad.
They're atrociously bad, not worth watching.
I mean, I did see a clip, I mentioned it earlier, but I did see a clip of Jeremy Irons overacting as a villain, which makes me curious.
They've gone past of it's so bad it's good.
Okay.
They've gone past the it's so bad it's good. The it's so bad it's so bad.
Okay. Because I love it's so bad it's good.
No, so I think the older ones would be a viable watch if you didn't know a single thing about how Dungeons and Dragons worked.
Okay.
If you walked into it with zero knowledge of how stuff works, how the world works, how races work, what the allies and enemies are, then they would be terrible movies, but they wouldn't be as terrible as someone who has the knowledge watching them.
Is it wrong to say I want to review them now? I
mean, I don't think you'd get me to watch them, honestly. I've seen all of them once and I never want to see them ever again. So,
Understandable.
Yeah.
You do not have to join us for those if we do them.
Not watching this movie, how little or like they barely it's like micro half-assing the lore of D&D for making the scenes because it showed. I was like, the phrase work smarter, not harder. In this case, it's like cast harder.
Yeah.
Fudge harder.
Yeah, they're using the barest surface knowledge
like
most people have.
Like under bare minimum.
D&D is a fantasy realm where people fight with weapons and have magic, and that is as far as they go with what the plot is happening.
And so at least this had actual stuff. So
that's what most people know about D&D. They mention whole heap of stuff that is not actually said outright. So if you know what's happening, if you know what they are and what they're doing and what the end result is, you can backtrack to, they just used that spell. They just used this ability. Him playing on his lute was actually a magical ability and not just him strumming a tune. So they added a lot of like secret things that people that actually know what's happening, inside jokes, stuff like that. You can go, I know what's happening. And it's at a level that you don't need it to enjoy the movie. So
something else I was going to say too. It just slipped off my tongue.
Can I say something while you process while you try to?
Yeah. Go ahead.
So I remember Jessup seeing this movie before I did it when it came out in theaters, and he told me that it was legit funny and heartfelt. Legit funny and heartfelt. So I went into this with some of my friends from up here, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was really funny, and it did have a lot of charm and heart to it. I feel like my friends enjoyed it a lot more than I did. I just thought this was like, go in, have a good time for 2 hours, and that was basically it. This movie doesn't really take itself seriously, and I really applaud it for that.
One thing I will say is, I have a friend who lives in San Antonio, and he and I were talking before this movie came out, and he's a really big D&D guy too. He said he thought this movie was going to suck because of the trailers.
Yeah, the trailers did not do it justice.
Yeah,
but it ended up being a lot better than anticipated.
My regular D&D group, we all went into this movie. We were all gonna say no spoilers. Some of us watched the trailer, some of us did not. So, but we all generally went in to watch this movie, and we all came out and were like, "That was way better than we were expecting." So, yeah. So,
did you see the trailers, or were you one who?
I watched the trailer, yes, because my ability to memorize movie stuff is abysmal. Okay. So my brain just doesn't see any upside to memorizing movie stuff. So you can tell me the end result, and by the time I go and see the thing, I will have completely forgotten it. Okay. So I watched the trailer, and then I saw the movie by myself once, and then I saw it with a friend my second time, and then I saw it again by myself a third time, and then I watched it 3 times before this reviewing today by myself. So
that's
I didn't watch the entire thing. I watched the scenes that I wanted, but I have seen this movie entirely all the way through 3 times.
That's just like what I did when we reviewed Encanto.
So I do want to say a funny thing was before the trailer came out, one of our sometimes DMs was running a campaign where we were kidnapped and we were put into a gladiatorial arena where the walls moved. And then the trailer came out, and he was like, "They plagiarized me." I came up with this idea first because he'd run it like a month and a half before the trailers came out. And then we all saw the moving walls and we're like, "Oh my God, Patrick." And he's like, "I know." So it was very funny for us.
That's like Tumblr worthy.
Yes, yeah, well, knowing how movies are filmed, they probably shot that gladiatorial scene like a year before your campaign.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, but no one, if you're not involved in the movie scene, and then Patrick was like, "I came up with this by myself," or "I've got a little bit of inspiration from here and there," and then not 3 weeks later, the trailer comes out and he's like,
perfect timing.
What? Yeah, it was absolute perfect timing. Yes. So yeah.
Any closing remarks from anyone?
Yes.
What's up?
If anybody's curious, as Honest pointed out, the whole fat dragon thing, it's probably got a bunch of fan art already. Like, think about it, guys. There are
I'm sure. I mean,
world stuff that is hysterically funny.
Yeah.
And knowing that thing is an actual character in D&D, I'm not surprised.
Oh, he's an actual thing. He has a name and everything. Yeah. Name, backstory. It's been known fact that he's been trolling around Menzo Berenzon since the early 1300s. Like rolling around Menzo Berenzon for the last 200 years at least. And then
he's slow as hell. I'm like, he can't run on chicken.
It's like that really, really, really fat cat meme where they're sort of waddling. And they don't have a lot of other movement. They can barely turn in a circle. They can't get on their back, but they're sort of just flop over to go to bed. Yeah, so that's if you haven't seen this movie and you can picture a fat cat. Now make it red with wings and little short stubby legs. So yeah, but yeah.
Okay. So next week, or whenever we're filming next, I think
I got a good one for you guys.
And I can share what we're doing after that, because I know what the next 2 are.
Well, actually, I'm throwing you for a curveball, Jessup. Here, I'm
Oh.
throwing you for a curveball here.
What are we doing next week or next time?
I can only say one thing. Cowabunga. Now, if
Oh,
I need
I
to
know what
order a
we're doing.
pizza.
Oh my god! Are you sure?
And
Which one?
I think the new one, right?
Let's just say there's some mayhem involved.
If it's the Michael Bay one, which I saw in theater.
No, it's not that. It's not that one, Alexa. It's not that.
I feel
it's
like
not
I'm
the Michael Bay
missing
one.
something.
Okay, we're reviewing the newest Ninja Turtles movie that came out this year.
Yeah. Okay.
And then the other one I was going to choose is the new Barbie because my mom requested it. She wants us to do this one. So.
Okay.
All right, so you guys can finish it. I have no words.
Well, everyone, I hope you have a wonderful day and you roll natural 20s.
Definitely.
Excelsior!